Here's a list of tools you need to complete this job. Transmission: 6 quarts of automatic transmission fluid. Front differential: 1 quart of GL5 hypoid gear oil, SAE 90 for warm climate, SAE 80W or SAE 80W90 for cold climate. Rear differential: 2 quarts of GL5 differential gear oil, LT 75W85. New draining and filler bolts crush washers. New transmission oil pan gasket. Ramps to raise your vehicle enough to gain easy access to the drains. Various ratchets. A 1/2-inch extension for the ratchet or breaker bar. 24mm wrench for the ATF filler bolt. 14mm socket and wrench. 10mm socket. 10mm Allen socket. An oil drain tub. A 6-quart or bigger measuring jug for the drained ATF. Hand pump. Paper towels. Brake cleaner. Optional: new fill and drain plugs. New ATF filter strainer. New strainer O-ring. A 1/2-inch breaker bar. Torque wrench. Impact wrench. Impact driver or drill. Wire brush. Magnetic tray. Rubber mallet. Hammer. Medium thread locker. A buddy to help you out with the ATF pan removal. Dispose of used fluids responsibly. Affiliate links to everything I've used or recommend are in the description. Alright, let's get to it. I'm lucky enough to use a hoist, but you can do this on ramps as well. Use a 24mm wrench to break the ATF filler bolt loose first to make sure you will be able to add new ATF after draining the old. Leave it in to avoid allowing dust and particles get into transmission while you're taking other steps before refilling it. Use a 14mm socket to remove the transmission main drain plug. Position the measuring jug under it and remove the drain plug. Once the fluid is drained, plug the drain. I'm using a new bolt with a new crush washer. Now, just to be on the safe side, I'm going to look up the drain plug torque spec using a shop manual I bought online at eManual for about 30 bucks. I'm going to leave a link in the description. It's a really handy resource for specs like these and many other things, including procedures, tools needed, tips and tricks, and so on. In this case, it's automatic transmission, doesn't matter which one. Here's the drain plug and the torque specs in Newton meters and pound-feet. Great! Torque the drain plug to 20 Newton meters or 14 pound-feet. Time to remove the transmission oil pan. It's held by 20 10mm bolts. Lifetime. I'll leave a couple in to hold the pan to the transmission while I'm removing the exhaust brace. It's secured with 4 14mm bolts. I'd spray the 2 bolts that go into the exhaust as they're rusty.
понятно.
Let's remove the remainder of the ATF pan bolts and carefully remove the pan, keeping it as level as possible to avoid spilling the remnants of the transmission fluid. Drain the rest of the fluid into the measuring jug. It is recommended to replace the transmission strainer filter. It's held by 4 10mm bolts. Hold the strainer as you're removing the last bolt. You will need to put it straight down as it's also held by the O-ring here. Drain the fluid from the strainer into the measuring jug as well. Make sure you remove the old O-ring from the transmission valve body. Lubricate the new O-ring, install it to the new strainer filter, and install the strainer to the transmission valve body. Reinstall the 4 10mm bolts. Let's get back to the shop manual and see what the torque specs for the strainer filler bolts are. And while we're on it, find the torque specs for the pan bolts. This is a great resource. I'm glad I won't over-torque the bolts. Perfect. Torque to 10 Nm or 7 pound-feet. Remove the magnets and the core gasket from the transmission oil pan and clean the pan. Clean the magnets and reinstall them to the pan. Install a new core gasket. Carefully reinstall the transmission oil pan to the transmission and secure it with 20 10mm bolts. Torque to 4.4 Nm or 39 inch-pound. Now check out how much transmission fluid you drained. In our case, it was about 4.9 quarts or 4.64 liters. We decided to add about 200 milliliters or 0.2 quarts to compensate for additional spillage during disassembly. In my opinion, this is the easiest method of the transmission fluid change to avoid an overly complicated factory method that involves using overflow plug and bringing the fluid to a certain temperature. Let's use the pump and add new transmission fluid. You might experience fluid overflow. This is normal if you're pumping fast and the fluid doesn't have enough time to settle in the pan through the valve body. Just give it some time. Make sure to add the same total amount of fluid that you drain, plus a little for compensating additional spillage. Done. Reinstall the fill plug. Since there's no space for the torque wrench, I'm just going to hand tighten it. But here's the torque spec in case you need it. And yes, I didn't have the 24mm wrench, so I used the 15/16 box wrench for it. Clean up. Reinstall the exhaust brace. I'm gonna put a little medium thread locker on these two bolts. I'll hand tighten them, but here's the torque specs. Now onto the transfer case oil. This is the drain bolt, and this is the fill bolt. Break the filler bolt loose first to make sure you will be able to add the new oil after draining the old one. The bolt is hard to get to. I'll use a 14mm box wrench and a hammer. Once it's loose, I'll use a ratcheting wrench to remove it. Clean it up. Now position the drain tab under the differential and remove the drain bolt. Same approach here. It's a 14mm as well. Clean the bolt from the metal shavings and reinstall it once the fluid is drained. No space for the torque wrench here either, but the torque spec is on screen. Using a hand pump, fill in the front differential with the appropriate gear oil until it starts spilling out of the filler hole. It's going to be about 0.75 of a quart. Reinstall the fill plug and tighten. Same spec as the drain bolt. Clean up. Switching to the rear differential, follow the same process. Cracking the fill bolt loose first. It's a 10mm Allen socket. Make sure the socket sits firm in the bolt. I'll use a breaker bar. Then the same for the drain bolt. Reinstall the drain bolt and torque to 49 Nm or 36 pound-feet. It's going to be about 1.2 quarts of LT75W85 differential gear oil. Once it starts spilling, that's your level. Reinstall the fill bolt and torque to 49 Nm or 36 pound-feet. Clean up. We're done. If this was helpful, rate the video, leave your comments below and hit that subscribe and bell buttons for more videos just like this. Thank you for watching. Drive safe, use your turn signals, and remember, anything is possible with the right tools and motivation. See you next time.